So the torus is made of three field modalities or forces. We have dielectric, magnetic, and electric. They are connected, working together as a single field. So when we get the electric magnetic working together, that's the electric magnetic field, the torus field. And these energy fields, they vibrate and they pulse and they create patterns. And that's when their vibrations are interacting, they're constantly interacting together. And that's inside all of us. It's breathing everywhere around us. And so when we see these metaphysical pictures like the one here, I know for myself, when I first got into metaphysics, I was always just so amazed by these images. Like, what is that? Like, that's what we look like. And it's one perspective of how this energy intricately weaves itself around us. And we'll also be getting into that. And so for these next few slides, I definitely do want to credit a couple of people. These next few slides, a lot of this mapping that I'm going to be talking about, Santos Bonacci, old videos of his and lectures of his, he used to cover this quite extensively. And within that, he also contributed to Ken Wheeler as well. So I definitely want to throw that in. So we're going to break down dielectric, magnetic, and electric. Within the dielectric is the source energy, people call it. You can call it the pleromic energy. You can call it infinity. But within that state is the rest state. It is the silence. Okay, it is known as black light. In the magnetic force, this is the opposite. It's force and motion, whereas dielectric was rest. It's discharge, whereas dielectric was charge. And this is the white light. It's the solar light. Within these two combining, we have the electric effect. So it's birthed by the first two here. And when we talk about the silence, okay, the silence is what builds the need for sound. Sound is vibration and dimensions. That's what creates dimensions. So I heard a great example of this, and then I kind of built on it myself. When you go to a symphony and everyone's taking their seat and all of the musicians are sitting, getting ready, everyone looks really nice, and the show's about to begin. You kind of hear like someone coughing in the back, or, you know, the lights are off now, and everyone's just waiting for the music to begin. And that's how it is with life and creation. The way I kind of thought about it too is like when you go and you're listening to like your favorite beat, and maybe you're with like a group of friends and everyone's kind of having a good time, and then the beat drops and it stops for a second, and everyone just gets so excited to like wait for that beat to drop. There's that anticipation. And so that's what the silence anticipates creation, as I said. And so it makes complete sense that you need that silence to begin that force in motion, or to begin that celestial creation as well. So from that silence, you burst into this reality. And you, from your heart, and we'll talk about that too, you burst into this you became physical in this reality, even though you're not really physical, but you became incarnated into this reality with all this energy flowing around you from that silence. We also talk about biomagnetism a lot. And so that is just basically us referring to the magnetism, the magnetic field produced by a human body. So I just wanted to clarify that as well. So slide here is one of the better pictures that I really liked. It's like the cleanest visual blueprint I could find of the torus. And I'm going to build upon this with you guys and add more layers to it. But if you just like take a moment to look at this image and follow the lattices of light in this image, and see if you can kind of trace where it starts, ends, kind of goes back in. Even over here, they kind of open that up, but this would go all the way around. Okay, so we're going to start here. I included the primary energy centers here, and the heart is your 0 point. That is the 0 point of the toroidal field. It is right in line with the longitudinal standing wave pulse here, also known as the ether, 0 point, infinity. We just kind of talked about it. And so I definitely do want to go into this a bit deeper. And so the ether is that which fills all spaces. The ether is needed as a medium for electromagnetic forces. So you cannot have this field without the ether. And the ether is also a generator of energy. So you can compare it to air, where it's like all around. You can compare it, you can say like we're in an ocean of ether, but what it's doing is that it's molding this dimension. Without it, it would collapse. It would be like a glass of water, and that would be the ether. And then you would drop the ink. You would drop ink into the glass of water, and that ink would just be embellished by it, but it would still be able to like take its own form. But without the water, the ink would just be like this dab. So because of the ether, it really allows for life to thrive. It really allows for nature and the elements to have life. All right. This shape here is a hyperboloid. That's the hourglass shape there that you see. And within that, we have the energy centers, which is encapsulated by a crystalline tube structure. And that force that's creating this surge is generated from within the heart. And it's producing so much power. The tube that it's encapsulated in is said to be as wide as your middle finger and your thumb. And, just so you get the context of this, when anything spins, it's going to create an energy field around it. So we see this powerful structure, and it takes, a lot of energy to be able to create all of this. And this is your Taurus. This is your universe. You're a universe within itself. So I've mapped out also the way the energy moves. The streams of energy start here, push up, and then the centrifugal divergent rotates out. And the force that, however wide this is, once you start getting to the wave's amplitude, which would be how far it stretches out, depends on the force that's in here. So that depends with your heart's coherence, which we'll talk about also. And then finally, the energy comes back in here, reaching its centripetal convergence point and recycles back up. So it's basically your ability to really enhance this field is going to be your ability to balance out the mind, body, and spirit. That's why we say here, I put here, I said, getting centered, the middle path, your center point. So its power will depend on your ability to harmonize between not only that, but like your heart and your brain. Of course, your heart chakra, of course, your crown. We're going to get into that really soon. And after the lattices of light have reached their wave amplitude, we see the central pedal portion meet back up towards the center over and over and over again. It's a self-sustained energy. And that's why you are literally alighting, because that is what's powering you. Okay. You incarnated from that 0 point energy, burst into life by incarnating into a rented body or an avatar. We have just a little bit more detail. We have these opposite poles. We have the red and the blue. Okay. So south is red and north is blue. When you start getting into syncretism, there's going to be a lot of symbology that goes into it. And it makes perfect sense because everything is a torus and everything is fractal. So you're going to see the same exact types of things playing out. in every way possible. Something I don't have highlighted here is the pineal gland, but within the pineal gland is basically how you're able to interpret all of the sacred geometry. It's how you're able to interpret all of life. It's the key to knowing everything, basically. And I really highlighted the heart chakra here. And if you see, there's the way this churns, okay, it's like a churning motion, okay? It's creating the swastika. So the heart chakra in Sanskrit is anahata, and that means unhurt, unstruck, okay? You cannot beat this. And it's the swastika that moves in that rotation, and it propels you to like hyperspeed, to beyond speed of light. And so also with the two polarities here, with the clockwise and counterclockwise moving the cylinders, if you want to know how to break out, okay, how they say, oh, how are you going to break out of the matrix is by activating these things. This is a shredder. When they're activated, I mean, look at the crown. I put here the different petals. The infinite petals is the crown. The crown is known as the 1,000-petaled lotus flower, but it's also interpreted as infinite. And the motion that's created with your heart is what's going to rip apart the ether so that you can ascend. And when we talk about the Merkaba in a little bit, that's basically the same thing. You rip through dimensional planes with these components activated within you. I think that's all I really want to say. Yeah, tear through the fabric of time and speed of light. So basically, that's how you leave the construct. So the Torus, everything is basically feeding itself and eating itself at the same time. Energy sustains itself. And the ether is known as the eater, just like the Torus is doing, right? So the top picture here, I put the Ouroboros, which is the serpent eating its own tail. And it's really interesting because it has the same shape as the Torus. It's doing the same thing that the Torus is doing. The snake has scales, so does the Torus. You can see that in the first slide I have too, these panels. These panels are in a reality as well. I've seen a panel and it looked exactly like this. Not only can we kind of, relate these two, but with the scales, but the snake eats things whole, which is the exact thing that the ether does as well. The ether is that which fills the space. So that's why the serpent's always mentioned in historical texts. That's why this symbol here is our reality, basically. That's what it does here. And then the Ankh, you can see, fits perfectly in between. So it's in the 0 point, the longitudinal line, and then it fits snugly in between that here. And the Ankh obviously is very significant in Egyptian symbols and symbology. It also resembles something else. It resembles a cross. But for the Egyptians, it meant eternal life. It meant freedom. It was like the homecoming to freedom. It's also known as the key of life. And Christianity removed this female aspect here. This is also like a womb. And then this is the male part. And Christianity just dunked all this. And that's why it's a patriarchal type of society, is because of that. And obviously here we have an apple. I mean, even the shape of the apple is like the Torus. And so it's always referenced when you talk about the Torus, you're always going to see the apple because it's just such a great example. And then the caduceus here, we have the serpents again. Hermes had his wooden staff with the serpents and wings. So look where the serpents are at. They're at the very top. So that Kundalini force rose to the top, and now he can fly on out wherever he wants.